Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Caterer Middle East Working Through a Lockdown video series. Today we are talking shop with Gates Hospitality founder and CEO Naim Maadad. Welcome, Naim.
Hello, Simon.
Pleasure to have you. How have things been going?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. I think we're seeing a little bit of movements on the easing off, all positive signs. I have a lot of concerns short term, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, well, let's start off with that then. The reopening that occurred just over the past week or two. Not a complete reopening, a partial reopening, shall we say. Essentially, restaurants, F&B venues are now allowed to operate at a maximum of 30% capacity. For you at Gates, what does this mean? Has it been beneficial? Is it enough? What's the situation like for you?
So for us at Gates Hospitality, I think the new plan of opening with a capacity of 30% is a step in the right direction. Nonetheless, I think we need to be very cautious on making sure that the expectation is very well handled from the end consumers as well as our people, because we still have 500 plus cases per day. So I think we need to stay connected. We need to stay focused, not to drop the ball and move too fast. So out of our 10 portfolio brands that we have here in the marketplace, we have reopened 3 venues. So Ultra Brasserie, Ema Square, Ultra Brasserie Marina Plaza, Stoke House at Damac Hills. And why is these 3, Simon? These 3 because based on the demographics, based on the market feeder, they're principally office towers and really corporate offices around, as well as location being very well complemented with a heavy residential catchment area. So we're doing limited 30%, of course, capacity. But again, the 30% is really, we're running at 10% of the 30% because of reality of the nature of what's happening. People are still very much scared. I think there's fear embedded in people. A lot of them are on unpaid leave, 50% of the pay. So there's liquidity issues in the marketplace. And last but not least, the experience that we usually pride ourselves over. At the moment, you walk into any of our venues, like every other venue, and you see the mask, you see the plastic gloves, you see this disposable cutlery and crockery and glassware. No children under 12, so kids play areas up there. No seniors over 60. It's tough. So anything that we usually pride ourselves over is being taken away. So you're running a business in a very confined environment. And I understand that we need to restart somehow, but I think again, we need to make sure that we don't go too far too quickly.
So again, I'm guessing that sort of there's limitations or the reasons why you haven't opened to something like Reform, really family-based, a really family-based concept that you have. Will you try and open it as things stand, or what? How long do you need to wait?
Reform, Bistro des Arts, Folie Publique, these brands really are about the experience. And I keep saying to my internal management team, you can't open a shoe shop and only sell handbags. So Reform, if you really take the families away, you take the bar element away, you take the experience away of mixing, mingling, noise factor, there is actually no business model. Not forgetting, like I mentioned earlier, that people are still very much, public places are, okay, yes, we definitely want to go, but we may just come out once. Will we come out once a day, once a week, twice a day, like we used to? Absolutely not. I think we haven't gone. Social confidence will be the next biggest issue for the next 6, 12, 18 months. It's not going away fast.
Now, is one of the problems with having the venues now open, but with reduced capacity, the fact that, for example, landlords will be expecting rent, etc. That's something that's been brought up in some of the mirror panels. How are you dealing with that?
Simon, I think what we must understand, and what I keep reminding myself as a business owner, is that we're not alone in all of this. And as all industries, all stakeholders, everybody needs to get together and shoulder some of their responsibilities to mitigate losses. This is not about breaking even. This is not about making money. This is to make sure that we minimize any losses that we are all experiencing. So not aggregators, not landlords, not ministries, all together. We need to get together and see how do we move forward in order to protect the industry moving short, medium, long term, in order to protect the people that we have so heavily invested in training them and bringing them into the equation of what the hospitality is all about. And last but not least, to make sure we deliver on brands. So it's tough, and I think, look, it's unknown. We haven't been there. We haven't had any national disasters. We haven't had any tsunamis, God forbid, or earthquakes. So the country, we're not geared up for these disasters. And this is, again, unfortunately, the unknown. We don't actually know what the problem is. We don't know what we're fighting. If you knew it was fire, you wouldn't go anywhere near it. But you can walk into this at any given time without knowing what it is, and sadly, spread the virus very rapidly.
As you said there, we're all in this together. It requires everyone to take a bit of a hit. You were one of the first to speak to me, and you called on some more government intervention in terms of pausing the rent rates, etc., things like that. Do you think the government are doing enough, or what more do you want to see being done?
I think what has happened from authorities and government, Simon, is phenomenal, because like I said earlier, there's been nothing in place. We don't have these SOPs and folders sitting on the shelf to say, okay, here's a problem, here's a solution. So they had to actually start from ground minus, not ground zero. They had to start from minus, develop these operating procedures and come out with them in a very short, rapid period of time. And yes, there's been confusing messages. Yes, there's been what if. But ultimately, I think this is about people stepping up to the plate and taking responsibilities of their sectors in the industry, making sure that we have the social responsibility to our teams and our guests. So there's been a lot done. I think there will be a lot more done, and I think there will be a lot more unity as an outcome of what we're facing today.
Now, the reopening came as a bit of a shock, I would say, a week or two ago. It seemed to happen very, very quickly. In terms of the way things are now, as you said, you can't necessarily open all of your venues because they wouldn't be the same experience. With things as they stand, how long can you continue this, or when do you want to see a full reopening?
So look, again, forecasting, reforecasting, yet again reforecasting. I'm done with all forecastings, because sadly we don't know how long this can prolong. My biggest fear is the amount of new cases announced every day. So we still haven't, I don't believe we have reached a peak. Not that I'm an authority to stipulate such a comment, but we haven't. We're still seeing an increase on a daily basis. The last report that I've seen that's been circulated is on the 14th of May, thereabouts, is when we're hitting peak. So we still have 2 weeks away far from that. As far as my business is concerned, I am taking it a day at a time and evaluating 3 times every day when is the next best opening. We need to make sure that we really understand what is the business promise to the marketplace, from safety, security, hygiene, food offering experience, in order to say, is it worthwhile opening? Not forgetting that my earlier point is we need to mitigate additional losses, because sometimes by opening, all you're doing is you're incurring additional losses. You have your active payroll, you have your ACs on, you have your utilities full on, you're basically saying to a landlord, I'm operating now, it's okay to reinstate my lease if they're listening to you. And last but not least, suppliers. So it all escalates very quickly, and we need to be very careful on, are we opening for the right reasons, and is it safe to open?
To come on to one of our other points then, as you've been one of the founding board members of the Middle East Restaurant Association, as you said, everyone is in this together, and that's essentially what that was set up to help with. It got pushed forward at sort of inauguration to try and help deal with this current situation that we have going on. It's been about a month now that it's been going. We've had 4 or 5 kind of webinars that it's held, and everything's trying to get put in place. What's been your impression of the first month? Are you happy with how it's going so far?
I think I must start by saying that we shouldn't forget that we are premature. We launched the whole thing prematurely a little bit. So again, as far as standard procedures, and we weren't 100% ready, but we obviously had to step up to the plate and deliver based on the current situation. Am I happy with what we're doing? Absolutely. Am I very impressed with the amount of interest from the marketplace, the industry, the supporting industries? Phenomenal interest. And it's amazing amount of engagement on all levels, from aggregators, suppliers, B2B, B2C, and obviously hoteliers, restaurateurs. Everyone's very interested to see how do we unite and how do we represent their voices on a platform that is very much for the enhancement and the embetterment of the industry. Early days. Again, we have made few inroads and we'll continue on voicing the opinion based on statistical data, based on the wider voice. This is not about 1 or 10, this is about industry-wide. So again, like any other association, as a board member, I think we need to be very clever and very much neutral on how we present things for the longevity of the industry overall.
Do you think it's working in terms of this organisation? Do you think it will have more influence and people in positions of power will listen more because of it?
I don't think we should underestimate the power of unity. And I don't think we should also underestimate the F&B weight on this platform of the economy. So again, we have over 200,000 people that actually engage in this industry. 200 out of 3 million is a fair voice of industry people that actually help the economy tick over. Not forgetting that, again, from a government stance, food and beverage has always been a very much a main anchor to continue on diversifying what the country does, and it's been in the driving force. So I only see us becoming more strong, more united, and more impactful.
I know that for obvious reasons, the coronavirus is sort of is dominating discussion around the F&B industry at the moment, and particularly with Mira. But long term, what are the goals you want to see Mira achieve? What are kind of the bigger things that you want to see it achieve over the next few years?
Yeah, look, again, like any other association, Simon, for me, this is about making sure that we tick the following disciplines. One is making sure that we unite lots of value added services to the operators, be it group pricing, be it educational platforms, be it a venue where they can actually mix, mingle, and really get to the bottom of potential issues, compare notes from spending per square meter, cost units, lease per square meter. So this is really a platform where people can engage and get industry first-hand knowledge that is non-biased and that is public to the industry.
Now I want to, as I said, I've been involved a little bit with some of the Mira panels, and every single one of them, delivery has been a big issue that's come up. So just to get your opinions on that at the moment, you're currently doing some reform, I think you do, or you've got those kitchens up and running for delivery for all the different brands, etc. But how is that situation for you? Obviously, the big issue that people are raising is the commissions. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. Look, again, I have to be very non-biased here and straight to the point. As a commercial discussion, Simon, if I was to put my commercial hat on today and openly speak, the delivery platforms for my business, for where I sit in the equation of service delivery, they actually cost me money. Nonetheless, in the current situation, I think I've made a very conscious decision of delivering, to stay in touch with my audience, to keep brand operating, to keep my teams engaged, and last but not least, to make sure that we continue on having that business presence, that brand presence in everyone's forefront. So commercially, I think I've answered your point. Moving forward, again, I have been a very strong voice of the log-out movement. That doesn't mean we don't use aggregators. I think what it means is we use aggregators that actually work with our business to service our business needs and vice versa. So I don't think there's a blanket approach. I think every business needs to analyze their own platform, saying, what do I need? Who's the best partner for me to move forward? And what is it really, when we're back to the norm, as we know it, what is the impact on my business? What is the percentage? Is it double digit? Is it single digit? Is it a service? Do I need it? Does my food travel well? Decisions.
So is that something that you will kind of reconsider once this is over?
Look, I think before this is over, I think there'll be a lot of changes. I think the aggregators are taking a lot of heat now from the market. And I think what has happened in these discussions, the consumers got involved now all of a sudden. So it's not supplier aggregator anymore. Consumers have all of a sudden have been awakened, if I may, by the fact that not only are they paying, we're also paying. Not only are we being enforced to apply discounts, aggregators aren't shouldering any of that. Data, who owns all the data, and the whole quality experience delivery. So it's a can of worms that's been open, but I think again, for me as a business, as an investor, as a business operator, for me it's these choices we make individually. No one's forcing us to say go with this or with that. So I think we should let everyone make decisions. We're hoping to see some kind of government intervention, like we have seen elsewhere in the world, where they come in and say, during these tough times, here's a cap or here's a price point as a guideline. But frankly, worst case scenario, get your own bike group.
Well, yeah, I mean, people managed home delivery before the aggregators existed, so I'm sure they could do that. Now, just to go talk about long term, in terms of the long term effects, do you think this entire coronavirus situation will have on the industry? Do you see, if this carries on for the next months that people think it will, do you see us losing a lot of outlets? Do you think that people will be investing less long term because of the chance of this happening again? What are the kind of possible negative outcomes or positive outcomes, if you have any, from this?
Yeah, look, Simon, sadly, what I'm about to say is not exactly positive. But again, for someone who plays with their own money and for someone who's heavily invested in the industry, I think we have the short, the medium, the long-term approach. Short is survival. Medium is about assessing what do we reopen, where is the market relevance, who's staying in the country when the airport reopens and who's leaving. I'll give you one example. The one Indian platform that opened up on Thursday had 34,000 people applying to exit. Now, if you do the maths very quickly, 34,000 in one day from one nationality is 1% of our total population. 1%. And that's one country. So I think there will be a lot of exit, but there will be a lot of people who will come back because, again, Dubai has always had that shine on it, and people will come back when things will level out and there is a virus solution. Long term, I'm projecting the following is we will see a new rent platform, market correction there, massive. We will see that a lot of our hotel colleagues will say, you know what, F&B is too difficult, give it to the F&B guys. Particularly in the short, medium term, where they will heavily rely on our expertise to drive business in their hotels because the airlines aren't doing that job for them. And the rooms are empty. So they will be looking at us saying, how do you activate local markets? Third part is, I think there'll be a salary scale redefinition on all levels. And on a positive note, I think we will be seeing a lot of focus on the 2021 expo that is to be officially announced sooner than later. So overall, I'm predicting that 50% of the 12,000 restaurants that we have in the marketplace today will never see the operational days again. I think a lot of the people will say it's just too hard, it's too difficult, commercially impossible to operate.
50%, that's a big number.
Look, it is a big number, but again, I think if we are to be honest to ourselves, and really in the past we haven't openly spoken about this, there was a lot of closures. But of course, there was a lot of new openings that offset the closures, but yet we didn't speak about it. But I think now, anybody that's entering that space of F&B will think twice, because the glitz and the glamour of the food and beverage industry, people have woken up to say, you know what, it's not as easy as we had anticipated, or we were told it is. So I think there will be a tough, so the market will shrink from a service provision. Let's hope the market from a consumption will continue on being what it is, so then everybody will do well.
So, I mean, I guess for the people that can survive or that can ride this out and that have the popular outlets that people know and love, does that mean better days coming for people like yourself?
Again, another negative answer, I'm afraid. Let's not forget there's no liquidity in the marketplace. And again, I'm sure you read as much as I read. There's a lot of cautiousness saying that this is maybe not one-off. This may reoccur again and may. So I think, look, what the media has done in this, and whoever the PR agency is, I want to appoint them, because what they've successfully have done very well is they have embedded fear in all of us. You know, I pull up at the petrol station. I'm paying with cash. The gentleman gives me my change back. I was actually puzzled. Do I take the money from him? I'm not wearing gloves. I've never done that for the last 35 years of my driving. So fear is embedded at all levels. I said to my family on the weekend, I said, would you like to go to Stokehouse for a quick pizza on the weekend, just after the opening? My 2 daughters have said, no, thank you, we'd rather order in, because we're too scared, we don't want to catch. So, long, nasty road ahead, I'm afraid.
I guess just finally then, and just to kind of go on from that, what do you think is the long-term effect that this will have on Gates? Are you taking this time to examine your outlets and make any changes, considering any closures or any new outlets that you think will be more friendly in this new normal that's coming in?
As the human race, we're social beasts. So I think as soon as there is an official virus vaccine, as soon as there is a solution identified, I think the new norm will take over very quickly, and people will start coming out, will start doing what we were doing, maybe not to the same extent. What will become very defined is, I think we'll openly talk about hygiene standards. I think people will openly talk about social distancing. I think people will have a voice and an opinion about these things, which we never did in the past. For Gates, as far as not reopening, as closing, again, it all depends on all the stakeholders. How are they going to step up to the plate and shoulder some of my pain that I'm going through? So again, it's early in the piece. The endeavour is not to close any venues. We haven't touched wood until today. We haven't parted with any of our colleagues from the immediate family, and we hope to continue that way. Nonetheless, a lot of my team have put their hands up saying, look, the minute we can get on a plane, can we go home? Not forgetting that these guys can stay at their parents', make a huge saving on the food cost, electricity, utilities, transport, and be next to their loved ones. So I think there will be a shift, there will be a change, but again, in every time of challenge, there's always opportunities, and I'm already after those.
Well, listen, hopefully Gates and, well, to be honest, everyone else in the industry manages to find the positives coming and overcome some of these challenges. Certainly a tough time ahead. But Naim, thank you so much for joining us today and for giving us the usual insightful answers.